Hi everyone, my name is Mahi and welcome back to Close Encounters, the podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Close Encounters. I'm your host Mahi. This is the podcast where we bring on students and people, because obviously students are not just students, they're people as well. And we bring on people who inspire us and encourage us to do some incredible things. My guest today is someone who found her path through creativity and personal projects, and not through academics like most of us do. And she recently started university, and we're going to have an exciting conversation. So to talk about that and more, let's welcome my guest today, Sachi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really, really good. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, so how is everything up with you?
It's good. Bit tiring because university began very recently. So it's like a huge shift, change in environment, surroundings, new people. So yeah, but it's fun. It's exciting.
It is. So how long has it been? It's been like 3 weeks since you
3
started
weeks, yeah.
university. What has that been like? You know, you had summer break for 2-3 months maybe? Something like that?
5 months.
Oh my god, 4 months for me!
Because my exam got over very early in March. So I had a pretty long break.
Wow. So we're kind of similar in that
Yeah.
way. So, you know, you had a lot of downtime over the summer to
Yeah.
do things and maybe also get like really bored at the same time. So
Absolutely.
how did you spend your summer? What was like the most memorable thing you did?
I think the first thing I wanted to do is watch the list of movies and shows that I had kept pending since so long. So I actually have these notes that I've created, like this one folder where I have all the movies and shows that I watched over the long break that I had. That's the first thing I did. Second thing is traveling, because of my final years I couldn't travel. So that was the first thing I wanted to do, travel. And we had a pretty good vacation. It's the longest we've been in India, and we sort of explored every place that we could, and then worked on my platform.
Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit more a little later, but I'm also really excited to talk about
That was like working on the platform during the break was one of the best things because we had so many new and exciting things to work on. And yeah, prepping for university, application checking, following up with universities, then making a decision, waiting for the results, board results,
that. Oh,
which came while we were on a vacation. So that has to be
That's
one of the
bad.
most stressful things. But yeah, overall, it was a much needed break. Good, fulfilling break, refreshing. And-
I like the sound of that. You had like the best of both worlds. I want to say 1% stress, but you had the best of both worlds.
the best.
So you really brought up one of my favorite topics. Tell me what movies and shows you watched.
Okay, so I'm into documentaries.
Okay.
So I watched many Hindi documentaries which are on crime cases, murder cases, mysteries that have not been solved yet. Some classic old movies. Some classics are important,
yeah.
and kept on taking recommendations from my family and friends, and then just
What was your
So-
favorite classic like old movie you watched?
Dil Dhadakne Do.
Wait, what? Did you? That's old.
I mean, compared to,
Like recent? Yeah, 9.
it's not that recent, but it's
9 years.
not that old. 9 years is
I thought when you said classic old movies, I thought you were referring to like 70s and 80s.
no.
Okay, you
But like 9
yeah.
years is old.
quite, yeah, it's quite old. You like Dil Dhadakne Do?
Yeah,
I never finished it, you know. I just couldn't get through it.
that was like, honestly, I didn't watch Dil Dhadakne Do until a few years ago, and my friends were very disappointed in me, so I had to sort of watch it again, refresh that thing. Yeah.
And what else? What shows did you enjoy watching?
This one documentary which was on the Burari case. It's in Delhi.
Okay.
So it was a documentary based on that. It's one of the most chilling ones that I've seen. So yeah, I love the ones that are love documentaries which shake you to the core, and
So
they're
you're
very
one of those like true crime fanatics who
yes.
like, oh my God. How do you sleep at night?
It's not like that. It's not scary. It's interesting to watch what's gonna happen next, and
Wow. So where did you travel in India? How was your experience?
it was pretty good. Usually, when we travel to Mumbai, which is where I'm from, we usually go for 10 days, catch up with family, friends, and just come back. But this time we made most out of the trip and we traveled to wherever we could, like places in Mumbai, and then, of course, catch up with family again.
For sure.
And then we went to Delhi. So we visited Agra, the Taj Mahal, and then we spent time with family there. We went to Amritsar, visited the Golden Temple, the Jallianwala Bagh, and
Oh my
it was a very fulfilling experience and good food,
Of course.
but bad weather. It was very hot at that
Oh.
time.
Did you have momos?
Yes,
I want to have momos so bad in Delhi. I haven't been to Delhi, but I'm definitely going to go there for the momos. That's it.
you have to.
For sure. So, as I said, you've had a pretty interesting transition in your life, which was, you went from school to, starting university. And I always like to ask this to the people who just, went through that change. What were those final moments of like prepping for your exam like?
I would say there was sort of nerve-wracking. I'll tell you why. Because we have honestly like school towards like the final months were not that smooth when it came to like teachers and all that. However, the final, I think the moment where we felt like it's getting over was our graduation ceremony, when they said that you officially, like, the graduation ceremony ends over here. We turn our tassels and we just looked at each other. My friends and I looked at each other and we were like, it's over now. It's just one final exam and then we'll not see each other again. And then exams was first of all very as I said, nerve-wracking, because our schedule, especially my schedule, my subjects, they were not placed in a very good manner. Because it was like, let's say today is my AI exam, tomorrow I have chemistry.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Your stream was like science. And
So my subjects were physics, chemistry, math, English, and AI. So it was like, if today is AI, tomorrow I have chemistry. And chemistry it's a major subject. You have two books, you have to, and even when you say that it's just revision, it's a lot, because there are many chapters, many concepts, and you don't even have 12 hours in your hand to prep for it. So that was sort of scary, that because it's the final exam, that those grades for a good amount of time determine the college you'll be stepping into, and your grades matter for that moment of time. So that was a bit nervous. That was like a nervous moment for me, because I wanted to get it right. Physics is not a subject I like. It's not my strong subject either. So I was very nervous for that as well. But that confidence started building up when the first exam went well, then the second exam went well, the third went well. So fourth was not that great, but we don't talk about that. Overall, I knew that I gave my best, and just I know that my results would be good enough according to my hard work. So that was that one phase which was very scary.
Like the dark side. It was
The
really
dark side,
very
yeah.
terrifying. Yeah.
But after, like, once our exam got over, then we were like, now it's finally over. That we could not believe it. We used to keep sending each other reels like this was us a few months ago, and now we've graduated. It took a few weeks to settle in, to understand that we are now alumni. We have graduated. We're gonna step into university, and saying goodbye to those to friends, like when they go to different, like many of my friends went to India to pursue their undergrad, many went abroad. So that sort of hurts. Like, you spent most of your high school journey with them, and now you're just gonna see them once in like 2-3 years. So
Wow, you remind me of I See, I've this summer I've had this thing of like being hit with a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you will go through that as well in due time. I mean, I'm sure you're going through it right now, but over the upcoming years, you will go through it in due time. It's just that I'm not gonna say I hated school. Okay, I mean, I didn't enjoy it that much. There were moments that I definitely didn't enjoy. But then when it finished, and as I am here right now talking to you, I'm like, oh my God, these small moments that I miss so
Yeah.
much that we don't get to experience in uni at all. Now, you went to uni. What was that like?
Different. Because we're so used to small classrooms with
Yeah.
just 20 people, and suddenly you're placed in an auditorium with one professor and 100 people. That is something very different,
Mm.
especially coming from an Indian curriculum and going into a university that does not follow that curriculum.
Mm.
The content, when it comes to the way they deal with things, I was personally very happy when they said that you can use calculators, because that's not allowed in
Yeah.
Indian curriculum. And you're so used to solving complex problems without a calculator that now you feel like even for a 1 plus 2, it's good to use a calculator. You have that liberty to
So do you use calculators, or do you like trust your instincts enough to go like, I'm not going to use a calculator?
School has trained me well to trust my instincts. But like sometimes when I
Yeah.
know it's a huge calculation and that's going to take me a lot of time, I don't have that much of time, I'll prefer using a calculator. But yes, again, that shift in curriculums was something very different. And plus, when you're in an Indian school, you're surrounded by Indians.
Mm.
Here, it's all nationalities,
Yeah.
different backgrounds. So you have to sort of fit in. You have to, you know, have a good connection, good going
trying to
with
find- yeah.
all sorts of people. So that is something exciting. And sometimes I like the first week I got a bit nervous. Will I be able to handle college, and
Mm.
how is college life going to be? Is it going to be a good one, like how I see, like I see people having friend groups already? Will I have like a friend group like that? Is the environment going to be healthy, or what's going to happen? So that thought still lingers sometimes.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
now 3 weeks in, I sort of feel adjusted to the surroundings and I'm liking it.
So you will get used to it. Take it from me. I'll give you life advice. You actually, okay, personally, me, I haven't gotten used to it because, college, you see all kinds of people,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're just like, why? No,
True.
why? But I feel like, if you're acquainted with decent people, you're just kind of like chill. Time just
Yeah.
goes by. So that's kind of nice. Oh my God. So you told me physics is not your strong subject. Are you
No.
good at chemistry?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I sucked at chemistry. I was so bad at chemistry. I feel no shame in admitting that. I didn't fail chemistry. I just didn't do good. It wasn't, I think I got like a C or something. I worked, I cried, I put so much like blood, sweat, and tears into it.
That's me with physics.
Yeah, I still didn't get like, you draw those like, see, I know what they're called. The
The compounds, like,
Compounds,
are you
yeah.
talking about organic chemistry?
honestly,
Structures.
structures and bonds and stuff like that. We didn't have organic chemistry per se. We had small elements of it.
Okay.
And they're like, you draw this and you draw that and you draw an hydrogen atom and stuff like that. I mean, that's the easy stuff.
Well, specific kind of chemistry, like our 11th, year 12 was based on physical chemistry. We learned
Oh
about
my
bonds,
God, yeah.
energy, thermodynamics. Year 13 was organic. I love organic chemistry. So
too?
11th was good,
Okay.
but it was not like I enjoyed doing it. I was just good with it. But 12th was like every time I would just keep my physics book aside, open my chemistry book, until my mom used to be like, you have to study physics as well. That's your subject. You cannot neglect one subject.
Yeah, you can't. Especially if you're a science student, life can be pretty
Yeah.
stressful. As a science student, you voluntarily, willingly chose science as a
Yes.
stream. I have a lot of respect for you. So, okay, let's think about this. You obviously have a lot of, theoretical physics and theoretical chemistry, and then you have, going to labs and
Yes.
stuff, theory and practical. Do you remember like a mishap that happened or something like that? That was so crazy.
Actually, this it not happened with me,
Yeah.
but to one of my friends. We were in the chemistry lab,
Yeah.
and we have this experiment called salt analysis.
Yeah. Okay.
So salt analysis begins with heating always. So you have to add in acids and you have to heat it. So first one, you're required to use a filter paper.
Okay.
So you take a filter paper, dip
Dip
it
it.
in acid, then dip it in the salt, and then you bring it to the flame. My friend, she was standing right next to me, very confidently took the filter paper, got it near the burner. Okay, she was not able. You're supposed to observe a color.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
could not observe
yeah.
a color, so she just sort of did
Yeah.
this to the paper, threw it in the dustbin without realizing that the flame had not gone, and she just threw it in the dustbin.
Oh
And
no.
a few seconds in, we start smelling plastic,
Okay.
and we just look down. She's just staring at the dustbin like she's hypnotized, and the paper is just burning. And then the lab assistants come with water, they just throw it in the dustbin.
Not a fire extinguisher. You don't.
No, it was not that
Okay.
huge of a fire. It was just small.
Yeah.
Sort of started melting the paper, the trash bag
Yeah.
which was there
Oh, no.
inside. And we're just looking at her and, what are you doing? Why are you staring at the dustbin? And then she's just started laughing. So even today, we always talk about how, the one time you burnt the dustbin and the teacher was like,
Was
what
she-
are you doing?
So-
She wasn't mad
Yeah.
because she just saw her laughing. So what can she say? But she did advise her to pay more attention to her surroundings. And yeah, that smell of plastic stayed for a few minutes, and then
Oh no.
that is something that was really fun. And one more, I was actually, the thing in chemistry labs is the sink. The
Yeah,
pressure of water is too high. Like if you turn it to the very end, it gets extreme. So I was just cleaning the test tube, and the pressure was too high, and the test tube broke.
Oh
From the bottom.
no.
Luckily, the lab assistant knew me well, so she sort of let me slide off with it and just took those broken pieces to the corner. Otherwise, I would have been in a huge trouble.
What if they've been like, give me the money right now, pay for
I
it?
swear. But those are what makes up memories, and
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Oh my God. Okay. So tell me, as I said again, we had a lot of downtime over summer, right?
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. We picked up exciting hobbies, whatnot. What is your favorite thing to do in your downtime? What does your ideal day or like ideal night out look like?
I have to think about this because there are too many things I do throughout the day. I would say art,
Oh my God.
especially nighttime.
What kind of art are you into?
I'm into mandala art.
Yeah, on the wall. We have a whole art wall here.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
looks
exciting.
very pretty. My eyes were like. So mandala art is something that I started off very early, COVID time.
Yeah.
But I sort of worked on my skills more in the past few months. So that has been a very relaxing moment. Like just plug in your earphones and play some music and then just work on the art. It would take hours and hours. I would
like
stay
a lot of attention to
a lot
detail
of
that goes
attention,
into
and
it, for
plus
sure.
it requires equal sizes,
Yeah,
shapes of
yeah.
everything, because one irregularity and it's noticed immediately,
Mhm.
especially when you're working with intricate designs.
Yeah.
So that was something that required concentration. So I used to like doing that during the night time because that was the time when, it's sort of peaceful.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in the afternoon, morning, there's a lot of chaos going on, this cleaning, that cleaning, this call, that call. So I used to take it up at around 10 or 11 after dinner. And then I would just go in my room and just start drawing. I used to stay up till 1:30. And then I used to color it sometimes when I felt like, okay, I want to, let's just add some color to it. I would do that, keep it. And then my mom would just get a frame and then she would just frame it. So that is something that I've done a lot. And secondly, during the daytime, I like to play the keyboard.
Oh, nice.
This is something that I started again. The last time I played it was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, because when I stepped into 10th, that's when I sort of took a break and never continued it because something or the other came up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I decided to, start with that again because I'd lost the touch, that speed that I had when it came to changing chords and all. When
Yeah.
I played it for the first time, I was like, how did I do that like 3 years ago? Like, So that was there, worked on those skills, sort of learned my favorite songs, how to play them on the keyboard. Then mom used to happily record that, send it in her family groups. And so, yeah, it was reconnecting with the hobbies that I left a few years ago. That was something I feel very important and very refreshing as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was really exciting. So what is your ideal night out look like if you could, just do anything that you want?
Go on a long drive, blasting music,
Oh, that's everyone's dream. I love that.
and somewhere peaceful, not stuck in traffic jams.
Like a
somewhere
beach.
peaceful. Yeah, beach, or probably if it was more of like a hilly area here, mountains.
Yeah.
It's so peaceful because I remember we went to Jabal Jais once. We just had this like during the Eid holiday. We decided to go there and it was so peaceful. We saw the sunset there and stayed there for a while in silence. I love doing that, especially in the night time when it's all dark.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
there's like a nice breeze going on
Nice
and the wind
yeah.
is so relaxing and
Yeah.
calming. So let's talk about a little about fashion because I love what you're wearing right now.
Thank
Looks
you.
so cute. Do you have any sort of what's your personal style like? Are you when you go to uni, do you put in much effort, or when you're going out, do you have like a personal style of your own? What makes you feel confident?
If I'll be honest, during school, I never paid attention to the way I dress and like my appearance in general. But once school got over, I made it a thing that I need to work on. When it comes to taking efforts and styling, and that's when I started using makeup.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So I was not really into makeup during school, and also one of the reasons because I had severe acne at that time, so I didn't want to, ruin my skin even more. But then slowly I started using some makeup products, sort of liked it, and then, made an effort to get ready from
Yeah.
the face as well when I'm going out, got my hair done, started working on my appearance and styling. Yes, first week of uni I was into styling. What I need to wear, this color should go with this pants, and which earrings do I wear every day, new earring. And but then like towards like this third week
I
I was
wouldn't.
like, 8 a.m. lecture, let me just wear like a top and jeans and just head out for uni. And plus it's so hot all outside, your face, everything
It's
just
gonna melt.
melts. So
I had to like a couple months ago. This is like during Jan, not even Jan, like Feb time where
Yeah.
winter is still kind of there. I had to walk from the metro station to my uni, which was like a 10-minute
Oh
walk.
no.
In the blazing hot sun, by the way. A bus was not there. I had to walk, which is really sad. And there was this girl next to me, and she was all like, she was like international, you could
Yeah.
tell. She was dressed in a cute skirt and stuff like that. She had nice makeup. So I ran into her again when I was standing for the signal. She was right next to me. I was so pissed and like annoyed. I'm just like, it's so hot, and I keep like looking around, and the signal takes so much time.
I
It's
agree.
ridiculous.
It's very annoying.
It's terrible. Oh my god. And sometimes you just feel like running down because in traffic. If you can, it's like I want to get to class early.
Not advised, but
Don't do that. But it's like I want to get to class early just to like avoid the professor thinking
Yeah.
I'm incompetent or something. Like come on.
yeah.
Yeah. So and then she was like standing next to me, and I was like turning around and seeing stuff around me. I see her makeup was literally melting off her face. It was that hot, and I was like, how is she? Like, you have to feel like super uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Naturally, and like her makeup was done so nice, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I feel so bad because it was so hot, and I was just like, oh my,
I feel the weather just keeps getting worse these days.
for sure. Oh my god, summer it's like there's no fall here.
Yeah.
Winter starts when the new year starts, so it's like, what's the point even? Like, you spend Christmas in the sun, like, hey, Merry
And winters
Christmas.
are not even like actual winters. Like it is breezy, it's cool, but it's not like the winter you want.
Freezing, yeah, for sure. If one day like
The American style winter.
snow everywhere,
Yes.
you go like Christmas shopping
Build
and do fun
snowman.
stuff. Yeah, throw like snowballs at each
Yeah.
other. Super exciting. Oh my god, yeah, for sure. And then speaking of confident, you listed like, okay, you started working on your appearance and stuff like that. It made you feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So I think it does like naturally pay off after a while,
Yeah.
but then once uni starts, you're like, I give up. That's it. Because I did, I gave up. So have you always been like, personality wise, have you always been an introvert or extrovert or ambivert? What have you been like?
It's been a ride. It's been a roller coaster ride, ups and downs. So I started off as a very bubbly, cheerful, hey, let's be friends, will you be my friend sort of kid. I was very, if you say, compared to Sachi, let's say 5 to 6 years ago, wasn't that confident, was not at all confident. But if you look at KG2 grade 1 Sachi, always wanted to take part in public speaking and, declamations. And I did, I used to win like prizes and all. So one thing is there that, small achievements like you want this prize, even if it's not the first prize, even if you just get a participation certificate, I feel like I'm getting recognized for, I've done a great job. So I used to keep taking part in every school competition that used to be there until this one English declamation competition. We were given a list of topics to choose from. I chose on Google and prepared this speech and did many rehearsals in front of the mirror, in front of mom. And one thing about me was I used to stick to
The
what I've
script,
written, stick to the script. I could not improvise anything on the spot, which was a disadvantage. When I went up on stage, I started off very confidently. It was going all good until I forgot what came next. I didn't know what to say and I got very nervous. So when there were like tears in my eyes and my face became red, and I was in like grade 2 or grade 3, and so many kids are sitting in front of me. There are judges, there are teachers. I was like, what do I do now? Will they give me a chance? But I've messed it up. Even if they give me a chance, what's gonna happen? And I was overthinking. And then the judges said that it's okay, calm down, take a deep breath, and start over again. It's fine. I did start over again. I managed to finish it well, but not with that confidence as I started off earlier. That was when that stage fright developed. It went on for a really long time, up till grade 7. Another reason was student council interviews. Whenever I gave an interview, I was never selected. But I used to see my friends getting selected, and I was like, is there something wrong in me that I'm not able to clear any interviews, and my friends are getting so many opportunities? So that's what sort of demotivated me and made me think that it's better to stay in my shell, in my own comfort zone for a good amount of time. Even when my parents tried to push me to go for this competition, I was nervous and tried to sort of slide it off, try to distract them with something else. So that was there until grade 8, 2020 beginning, when COVID was not a thing over here. It was not that major. We were, I remember our activity coordinator released this poster on an MUN conference that was coming up in IHS. So, Indian High School used to keep yearly conferences, MUN conferences. One used to be like with all different schools, one used to be just for school students. So, that was just for school students. And I thought, let me give it a shot. Let me try. What's an MUN conference? I connected with one of my friends who was into MUN conferences, tried to understand what it was. She was kind enough to share her notes and a handbook that she made with all the rules. And the first glance, all the POIs, and I was like, what is this? Will I be able to do this? And I can't even speak naturally. Will I be able to do this? I have to always stick to a script. So that insecurity somewhere from something so long ago in grade 3 was still haunting me in grade 8. So you can imagine the impact it left. So I sort of slid it off again. I said, next year I'll try for sure. And then COVID hit. Sort of made me happy that there's no interaction, no socialization for a while. It wasn't like did not socialize at all, I did want to make new friends. I get along with new people well, but I cannot, that confidence when it
Yeah.
comes leaving an impression on people, that was something I fell flat
Yeah.
in.
The overthinking
The
kicks in of how
overthinking.
people perceive you and
Yeah.
how you wish like they see you. You want them to see you a certain way. But
I
then,
used to always think about the future. Like, if,
Hmm.
let's say, I'm talking to you, I would think about what if I said something and then she thinks of, then she sort of will keep that to herself. She'll take it as in an offensive manner. And what if I mess it up in the future? What if it gets awkward later? So that sort of overthinking is very unhealthy. I could not realize it then. I thought that was something, gradually my thoughts developed in that manner. And I was not realizing that it's not healthy, especially when you're entering your senior year. It's important to have that confidence to be able to speak to new people and to be able to um, be a natural speaker,
and
importantly.
trust yourself. And
Trust
your
yourself,
instincts.
because if you don't trust yourself, you cannot achieve anything. So ninth, there was one of our activity supervisors. She's in charge of all the activities, sent out an email saying that there's this conference being held in India. It's an online conference because of COVID, and it's the best opportunity first timers can get, because they have from beginners to advanced all types of committees. So it's sort of a good opportunity to kickstart your MUN journey. And you have to go through an interview process. So before that, when I saw the email, okay, I can take part in it, it's an online conference. When I heard there'll be an interview process, the word interview haunted me. I was like, okay, now teachers will be there, students will be there. Will I be able to speak well? Because they required us to prepare sort of a speech. They gave us a topic and they were like, what are your opinions on it? Draft a speech, and we will, judge you based on your confidence, the way you've prepped your content, and all. And plus, they would ask us a few on the spot questions, technical MUN terms. So I gave the interview. I was a bit nervous, but it went very smooth. And within a few days, I get an email that you've been selected. You're representing your school for this MUN conference. And that MUN, the school in India who was hosting the MUN conference, released a poster of students representing it, like in Dubai. That sort of made me feel happy that my photo is here, my name's here. So it's a big
Yeah.
thing, and especially after so long. So that was like very exciting. I was a bit nervous, like the day before the conference, that usual thing is my speech okay? Have I made any errors or anything? But once the conference began, I started speaking in a few, there are certain technical terms like speakers list and this speak on this topic, this subtopic. So I used to give my name and allocation, and I used to speak. I spoke less, I think probably once or twice throughout the entire duration. It was, I think, a 2-day conference. But I felt that was, those baby steps help you,
Yeah.
get that confidence that you need. So that sort of helped me probably 1% get rid of that insecurity that I had in mind, that I won't be able to leave a good first impression. Then slowly I started taking part in more conferences. It was the COVID era, so the online conferences were sort of like an advantage for me, because I don't have to physically socialize with people. So I was like, oh, these people live in India, I won't see them ever again, I can speak. And one of my friends who was into MUNs gave me this very good advice at that time, that Sachi, you're never going to see these people. Embarrass yourself as much as you want. You won't even remember their faces, they won't remember your faces. So that was, sometimes when you get support from your friends and family, that also helps you feel a bit more positive about yourself. Then that journey, even till now, has not ended. Taking part in MUN conferences, World Scholars Cup, went to Yale to represent our school at an international level, which is a huge thing. And sometimes when I go back to my activity supervisor and we sort of think about that Sachi in 8th grade who was hesitant to take part in programs, and now she's organizing programs, the change. And I'm very proud of this change because it's taken a lot of time. And plus, it's taken a lot within me to be able to prepare myself mentally, to be able to take up the challenge, to stand in front of people and speak. Physical conferences, once they started, it was
I can
that
imagine.
tinge of nervousness was still there, but it went very smoothly, and I'm overall very happy about the journey that has developed so well, and couldn't have happened without certain teachers.
Yeah.
When you meet the right teachers, I won't say right, every teacher is of course very supportive, but
Pushes you and makes you realize you have
yeah,
something within you that you don't.
certain teachers who just know that you have the potential,
Hmm.
push you no matter what happens. Even if you say no, they'll be like, try to kar le, kya hoga. Sorry for using Hindi. Um so that is something, and I'm very grateful, because if I would not get that support, because working hard is another thing and support is another thing. If you don't have support from people, if you don't have positivity around yourself, you won't be able to get anywhere. So
If you could give a shout out to a teacher who inspired you the most and who helped you through, your struggles the most, I want you to give her a shout out right now.
Dr. Abhilasha. So Abhilasha ma'am, if you're watching this, thank you so much, because she is the guiding force. Of course, parents are your guiding force and they have helped me a lot. But when you're in a school environment, you really need the right teacher who analyzes your potential, knows what's the best for you. And I think she cracked that code immediately the first time we met. And every time I get a message from her, Sachi, this is coming up. Do you want to take part? I'd say, I'll give it a try. Like, okay, I'll give you a name. And then she sort of helped me get into so many competitions, and that sort of built my portfolio, which is also important for university and for applications. So I'm very grateful to her. Very, very grateful to her.
How did it feel when you finally found someone who kind of saw through you? And that most, when you meet people, most of the time they don't really realize that you're going through these insecurities or whatever. So how did it feel when you finally found a teacher who kind of saw through you and you realize understands you on a deeper level?
I usually have this, it's sort of my nature. I don't like to share much about what's going inside me when it comes to friends. So if my friend's sitting in front of me, she would think that, okay, everything's going fine, she's happy and all jolly and all good. But certain things that sort of are bothering me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't share it with them. But that sort of comfort you have with your teacher, like certain teachers, that is something that helps you, because you don't have to say much to them. They just automatically understand what's wrong. So if I get stuck anywhere, I'm too hesitant to ask, I sort of give her a hint that this is happening and I'm not able to do this. So she automatically understands what I need, so she'll help me out with that, which is sort of it's indirectly an assurance.
She gives you the push that
Yeah.
you need. Yeah.
And she also gives me the assurance that she's there.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, she's there to sort it out. So that's the sort of confidence. And it's not just me. There's so many friends of mine, there's so many students in the school who genuinely think that she is the right person to approach to, which speaks a lot about what kind of
Character
a
and
teacher
yeah.
she is,
Yeah.
what kind of character she has. Because if you hundreds 200 students think that she is the right person to approach to, she is something special.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So I'm curious to know, I love, okay, I have done MUN one time and one, not even MUN. I was like, the teachers put like one desk here, one desk there, put like 4 people in a group, and they were like, okay.
classroom debates.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. I love to talk. I genuinely just, I love talking and interacting with people. But the thing about that debate was, people are like, oh no, I'm the smart one. I'll speak. I know what's going on. And then I'm
That
just
sort
like,
of.
yeah, I'm just like, speak. I don't care. So was there a moment where like, you were debating and, you've done debates as well and public speaking as well as you mentioned. And was there a moment where you just genuinely felt so powerful? You're like, oh my God, yeah.
Okay. So, honestly, when you are experienced
Yeah.
than the others, you
Oh,
sort
that
of
feels really good. Yeah.
that feels good. Not to say that you're dominating or overpowering, because there's so many first timers who might be better than the most experienced ones, even me. But that sort of seniority that you have in the group, whenever let's say I remember this recent IHS MUN
Mm.
after I graduated. So I just randomly showed up to school because I had to collect one of my documents from school. After you
Yeah,
leave the
after
school.
exam
So
ones, yeah.
after that, the MUN was going on. So I just called up Abhilasha. I'm like, can I just come? They come. And then I went there. I just went into a random committee. Because of course there were no formal sessions happening at that time. It was like break time, and one of my friends was chairing the committee. She was like, become a guest delegate. Guest delegates are like random delegates who
Yeah.
can show up at any time, um create a heated argument between two countries, or sort of say something so controversial that
Set them off.
yeah, and sort of make the committee discussions intense.
Mm.
That's the role of a guest
So
delegate.
you added fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So I went there happily, and I was the president of this one country, very controversial country. And then I said, this is wrong, that is wrong, I'm the leader, this and that. And then I fueled the fire, and then I left. And then after that, I come back later, not as a guest delegate, but as a guest chair.
Okay.
So, you can do that when it comes to guests. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want, because now I've set the conversation. Now I've set the debate. Now I want to see how they do. So that position of seniority, as someone who has had experience in MUNs, and saying that, delegate, this is not what you're supposed to say. Delegate, why are you not speaking? This is how you're supposed to speak. Sort of makes it fun. But at the same time, it's good that I can share what I have understood from my experience with people who don't have such experience.
Mm.
Maybe that might help them, maybe that might not help them, but if it helps them, it might add in a new perspective.
Yeah, for
to them.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wow. So exciting. This is something I would definitely do. That I would go in and I'll just be like, I want to start an argument. I'm feeling petty today. Let me start
And
an
that
argument.
was honestly, nobody recorded it, but it was the most iconic entry any president could have. Like bodyguards behind, toy guns, and we just entered with style. So that was, I think, one of the best moments. And I could not control my laughter. This is the one thing I'm very bad at. So that made it funnier. So
Okay, so we all have things. I personally like we all have things that like you're talking to me so passionately about like MUN and stuff. So we all have things that we're passionate about, but most of the time we're just like, I don't have anyone to talk to it about, and no one really takes that much interest. Do you have any secret things that you're interested in that you just don't get the opportunity to talk about much with people?
there are a few interests that I have, like some hobbies and all, but I don't really have the right person to take guidance from. I don't want to start from YouTube, because that's sort of, for me, I like to begin with a one-on-one thing where I'm sitting in front of the person. They guide me on how to do the thing. If I'm stuck somewhere, I immediately get an answer to one of my queries. Because on YouTube, it's like some questions are left unanswered. Then you have to get into research to,
So what are those like secret interests that you have?
crochet.
Oh my god!
So that's sort of why I got reminded of this, is because I've had that on my list for a long time, list of things that I want to do. And yesterday, when I was on my way to the uni in the bus, I saw this girl crocheting a palm tree, and the ease with which she was doing it, I was like, this is so fun. I just want to if I get the opportunity right now, get the material and start doing it.
Did you approach her? Were you like, please teach me?
No, because it was like she was already indulged in a conversation with her friend.
Oh,
I didn't want to go interrupt
yeah.
her. And plus, we were already on our way. We were reaching university. And then, it's hard to find that same person in a university again. But definitely, I'll, look for someone who knows how to at least start at a
Yeah.
beginner's level so that I can get some head start.
I think you should put out like a post. I don't know how it works in your uni, but you just put out a post looking for people who crochet. Please contact me. I want to be your friend.
For sure, I'll do that right away.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about the whole story. Anyways, so what are some things, and I think this is a very interesting question that I don't think not many people get asked a lot. What are some things that generally make you feel like yourself, that you're like, okay, I know that this is who I am, and I'm really glad that doing these things make me confident and make me feel like myself?
I think this has to be more concerned with the values, the environment I'm surrounded with, and the kind of upbringing I've been given. I'm sort of like a selfless person. I try to help someone as much as possible, which is something that comes from my parents because I've always seen them do that.
Yeah.
That naturally gets instilled within me that I also want to help someone. And that sort of makes me feel happy. Even the tiniest thing I do, if that makes someone's day, that helps them out in some way or the other, that sort of makes me feel very happy and makes me feel like this is who I am. This might not be something unique, but this is something that at least, um, you know, helps me feel like I've done something good today.
Yeah.
Makes
So
me
what
feel
is
good.
something that was like really memorable? You helped someone out and you're like, I feel really good, and it just like made their day. Is there a memorable moment like that?
Okay, so this was in school. I was in 7th grade, and we had one of like a classmate who was not that good academically, and she had some difficulties. And my class teacher approached me and said that, Sachi, would you like to help her out? This would be throughout the academic year. You have to sit with her, you have to teach her like how to memorize this content, and so that at least her grades shoot up and she's able to do well in the class. And I said yes immediately, because when I hear something like, do you want to help this person out, if I can, I would say yes always. But she said that discuss with your parents first, because this is going to be throughout the academic year. And it is a big deal. It's not like you help your classmate in notes and done for the day. You have to do follow-ups, you have to manage your studies as well. So I discussed it with my parents, and my parents were like, if you will be able to handle it, we don't have any problem. Why should we have a problem? So I said yes. They had a consent form, so I filled it out, and I sort of tried my best. Like whatever teaching, learning techniques I had, I shared it with her. That hey, try like this. And whichever free periods I had, I sat with her and I was like, okay, let's study math today. Let's study social science today. And then I sort of made up stories to try to explain to her like the series of events that happened. And she then that's when I sort of understood that it's not like she does not want to learn.
Yeah.
It's just that that right techniques sometimes, or the right environment, she was not getting that. So I was happy that she found my company comfortable enough that she could share things with me. And after that, I saw that she actually did well compared to previously. And of course, you can't expect a huge leap like straight A plus. Of course not. It takes like time to
and
get
effort.
there. But I could see like she was genuinely making efforts, and even the teachers noticed a difference in her approach to studies and her grades. So I was complimented. So compliments, though, everyone likes compliments. So
compliments.
after that, there was this one time where her parents were called to talk to the supervisor, just about updates and what's happening, if she's doing okay or not. And then I remember, the supervisor's assistant who
Yeah,
sits
yeah,
there.
yeah.
She comes to my class and says that I'm looking for Sachi, the supervisor is calling.
Oh,
And then
scary
I thought,
moment. What
why
did
is
you
the
do?
supervisor calling me? And after that, when I went in, I saw, like, the supervisor said, these are like her parents, and they just wanted to meet you. And their parents said, like, thank you so much. And I was like, you don't have to thank me. She's like my friend. And of course, why would I not help her? And until I think she left when we stepped into 11th, but from 7th till 11th, there was not a single day where we did not at least say hi. After 7th, of course, we got shuffled into different classes, but there was not a single day where we crossed paths and we didn't say hi to each other. So that was, I've lost contact with her right now, but that is something that I always remember, because that was such a fulfilling moment that I got to help someone, and I was able to create a comfortable conversation, comfortable surrounding for her, and she could, because of me, open up about certain things that she felt like some people were not giving her the same. So that is something that I always like. I was also called by the counselor, to sort of um, say that you're doing a good job. So that assurance was there, because sometimes, because I was also in 7th, so I was also technically a kid.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that, am I doing the right thing? Is there any progress? And if I'm not doing the right thing, what will the teachers think about? Again, that overthinking, typical. But I was happy that there was a positive progress, and I always look back to it. That is one of the biggest. That was one of the most. That was one of the huge opportunities that I got, and I'm so grateful to have got that.
So you basically changed someone's life in a way, obviously, to
Yeah.
sort of help them overcome their struggles. You were a part of that journey. I think that is really incredible. Speaking of struggles, we're teenagers, we're growing up, and it's like kind of like a crazy world out there, honestly. Every day it's something new. So what is something that you're kind of not at the moment, but in general, I feel like you're personally struggling with? I know you said you don't really open up about things about yourself,
Yeah.
but for this one time, what is something that you're genuinely, you're struggling with at the moment?
I think it would be honestly about appearance, physical appearance. Even if we say like body positive, everyone's, accepting, but somewhere or the other, especially when you're in university and you see all different types of people, um, look at the way they just conduct themselves, look at how they look.
And sometimes they don't even try, right? They're just like walking and
Yeah,
listening to music.
and
They're just like minding their own
exactly.
business.
And as much as we think that, okay, what if they're showing off? But most of the people don't realize that another person thinks in a certain way about them. They might feel like, what's so special in the way I look? It's like how every other person looks like. But I would say that that is one of my insecurities. But I'm not as insecure as I was earlier, because now I know that there are changes that are coming up. But yeah, as much as people might find it strange, I don't talk about this much. But yeah, this is one of my biggest concerns.
I don't think it's strange. I think it's nice that a lot more people are like opening up about it, because I had Abhilasha ma'am on the show
Yeah.
as well, on one of our other shows, and she was like, I struggled with like body image and stuff like that,
Yeah.
when I was a kid. And I think it's such a, at some point, especially as like girls, even guys go through it. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to, but guys, they don't really have the freedom to talk about it as much because you're being
Absolutely.
judged for sure. But I think for us girls, it's so common and it's like super stressful. And I definitely go through moments like that where
Yeah.
I'll feel good and then I look at someone. I don't start not feeling good. I just look at someone and I'm like, for some reason they kind of look better or they dress better or something like that.
Yeah, like I sort of think that, why can't this be me? Which is sometimes natural to think about, because
Yeah.
it's not something unhealthy that the only thing I think about is how I look.
Yeah.
That's not the thing. But sometimes that thought just strikes my mind. So it's inevitable, but
I think what helped me a lot of the times, especially since I reached uni, is you can look at someone from afar and you can think like they're so pretty and they're so beautiful and they're so like that, and then they open their mouth and then they're like,
Yeah.
it's fine. But I think what I admire is that when you said you find your own personal style and you're, sort of putting in your own
Yeah.
effort into what you like, that in itself is so special. Because when I started doing like me, like putting up my hair, putting on jewelry and stuff like that, it makes me feel special because I like doing that for myself.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing is also, it's definitely gonna help you a lot in like feeling good about yourself and like feeling unique, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
because like sometimes when I used to put up makeup for an event, I was like, am I overdressed? Is that too much? Until I go there and I see people are dressed the same way as I am.
Yes.
So it sort of is not, and also it might not be just us having that thought. Maybe the person I'm looking
Yeah.
at might think the same about some other person. So it's a chain. You
Yeah, for
can't
sure. Chain
escape
reaction.
that because you know I think even today, even if you see social media, it's more about appearance. As much as we are talking about body positivity, there's not much positivity when you open social media,
Especially like the reels and
the
comments. Is it?
reels and comments. So I think that also makes a lot of people insecure, not just the people who are posting it but the people who are reading it as well, that
Yeah.
there might be people who might be thinking the same about me. So yeah, that thought sort of lingers in my mind, but I don't think too much about it. It's not
For
like
sure. Yeah.
I'm super insecure, but yeah, the tad bit of insecurity is there, but I'm happy the way I am.
Yeah. See, you're like really, yeah, cool. I just try to avoid, like, every time I see a nice reel, I'll just try to avoid the comments because I just thought it might
Yeah.
be something nice and someone might have a tad bit of issue with something that's not
Even
even
if
in the
there are like
conversation.
10 nice comments, there
Yeah.
will be one comment that would just throw hate
Yeah,
upon
for sure. That
someone.
everyone doesn't like. All right, let's shift the topic.
Yes.
Okay, I'm really interested to know. Okay, first of all, you said that you can debate about literally anything. You were pursued for like, okay, we need a speech in like an hour. Can you make us something? What if I give you like 5 minutes and I ask you to make a speech on literally
Sure.
anything, non-academic related? Make it on like anything.
Okay, fine. Yep. Let's do this.
Okay, great. So, I mean, okay, do you need some time or do I just like ask you to start talking and you'll just like
You
start?
can give me a topic, give me like probably a minute or two, and then I
Okay,
can
let
start
me
speaking.
think of talk about the table.
Okay.
She's thinking about the table. By the time she's thinking, we'll give her some time to think. How is everyone? How are you? See, I love having one-to-one connection, and this gives me the perfect opportunity to do that. So how are you? How's life? How's everything? I'm fine. I'm doing good. I like this yellow color because it kind of matches my skin tone. I like my glasses, look really cute. Kind of looks like I'm not wearing it. Oh, my watch lights up.
What's that?
1 second, I have to show you my watch lights up.
Oh wow.
My watch lights up. Isn't that
Wait,
cool?
is it like does it change colors?
I think so. I think I accidentally clicked something by mistake and it started like
You can match
flashing.
it with your outfit.
No, it's just like
Oh.
green. I think it started like flashing one time. I'm not really sure, but
Very cool.
yeah, and it has like super cute like astronauts and stuff on it. So it's super cool.
Space themed.
Exactly. So cute, right? Okay, all right. We have a speech about a table. Floor is all yours.
So this is Mahi's table. If
Yeah.
you look at the shape, it is very geometrical. 8 sides. If you look at it, there's a mix of different things, yet it creates a strong balance. There are elements of nature. There's this lovely, huge pot of leaves placed towards the right side. And if you see on the left side, there is this beautiful showpiece with um,
Figurines.
figurines, and they blend in with the theme, the colors of the table. There is a gold bowl which matches with the color of the legs of the table. Love the contrast. There are a few remotes that sort of add up to the beauty, and there is also There's also the camera. Wait, is it on the table or is it?
It's kind of not on the table. It's like standing behind the
It's
table.
behind the table, but yeah, the overall balance of things. There's also a bottle of water, which is also related to an element of nature. So yeah, overall a very filled table in a good way. Has many elements, many colors that are visually appealing and attractive. And I would love for you guys to check out this table, but unfortunately we can't.
Yeah, I can't flip the camera.
We
for
can't
you.
flip the
Sorry.
camera, but it's very
imagination.
beautiful.
Oh my god. Thank you. My mom decorated it. We have an aesthetic mess over here. So
Yes.
aesthetic mess that people try to achieve. People want to make messy things aesthetic these days. But it's like I spilled my coffee, my lipstick is smudged, aesthetic picture. Like I've seen some stuff.
Stain your coffee on your shirt, they make a design out of it.
Yeah, that's nice. I would say that's creative, but then it's, you're just having a bad day and you drop your coffee, you're like, oh,
But you can't. It's not long lasting. You have to throw it in the washing machine. What will you do after that?
I don't know. It's just for the aesthetic. Do it for the gram, as the people say.
Do it for the gram.
For sure. Oh my god. Okay. So I actually, you know what? I want to ask this because I was thinking about it today. Over the course of summer, as I went to bed, I had a lot of weird dreams. Like weird dreams. This is like weird level of dreams where like I would have the most random people. I'm sure has that ever happened?
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
Random people I don't speak to. Sometimes it'd be celebrities. Celebrities around my age, by the way. So I'd be like, yeah. So one time I had this dream. Was this one person in it, and it felt so real. Like as I'm talking about it, like I can't even talk about it because of how real it felt. And then I opened I opened the TV. I'm like I had to check something. His face, first thing that comes up was that guy's face, and I panicked. I'm like, what the heck? And I ran away because I kept thinking about the dream all day, and I'm just like, I can't even like look at him right now because it felt so real. And it was a nice dream. That was the worst part because it felt so real, and I'm like, oh my god. And so yeah, I definitely stared at the ceiling a lot that day, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't wrap my head around it. So have you ever had a dream that was so weird that made you literally question everything? Like the weirdest dream you've had?
Yeah, actually I would say a few days ago.
Oh, exciting.
Okay, not like I met someone, but this was very weird.
The silence is giving me.
I was in the car.
Yeah.
My dad was driving,
Uh-huh.
and we were going towards somewhere.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
And it was like a two-way road.
Hmm.
So there was like traffic over here, but the road is empty on the side we were going to.
Okay.
Okay. And then I love how I remember every single detail. There was like this garden
Okay.
sort of thing. There were trees. There were people hiding behind the trees. And then they come out. Okay. And then also there was a car in front of us, and we
Okay.
see a person getting out of the car, and there's like a river, like a water body
Okay,
on the
yeah.
other side. She was about to,
Okay.
dive into it.
Okay.
But then she gets back into her car, and we're wondering what's happening. Then we go ahead. Then we realize people who are hiding behind the trees have arms, like,
Oh, okay. Girl. Okay.
and they're armed, and they just start shooting, but just on one side of the road. The other side of the road is like, there's nothing happening
You
there.
need
The
to
cars
stop
are just-
watching all those true crime documentaries. This is a very twisted dream.
Then we decide to take a turn and join the other side of the road, join into the traffic so that we're safe. But there's a divider, and we can't,
Okay.
we can't merge into that traffic. And then after that, we tried to rush through it, but then the bullet hits the tire. And then after that, I just woke up. And after that, I couldn't sleep for the next half an hour.
What's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is,
Stop watching those true crime shows. Oh my god.
it's like a guilty pleasure. You can't stop watching it.
I know, but guilty pleasure is also like trashy reality TV shows. Watch like Big Boss or something.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, how about a more positive dream?
Civil.
How about a more positive dream or something that was not traumatizing, but just weird or non-traumatizing would be nice.
Um, let's think about this.
I'm not gonna. I don't. This is very not fun. So, update on my dream as she thinks about her dream. I wake up, and this happened like before as well, and this happened a couple. This happened a couple days ago. I woke up. I texted my friend, and I texted her all the details. I'm like, look, I'm freaking out. This feels very real because it feels like we have. See, okay, look, stuff that happens in dreams. They always say it's like you in a parallel universe in the multiverse, like a parallel version of yourself, kind of like living that life. So, based on how good that dream was, I better be living that life in a different universe. I'm out of things to talk about. Okay.
Okay, one of these was when I co-founded my organization. You know, when it was like day and night, the only thing we were talking about is the organization. How do we build it up? This and that. Just one night, I get a nice dream, getting, you know, I'm working with the UN, very well reputed organization that gives recognition to our organization. There are thousands and thousands of volunteers in our organization. And then after that, I'm just standing with my other co-founder and we're just happy about the way this is going. And also we get recognition. There are many people from different parts of the world want to be a part of it. That was the dream, because sometimes when you think a lot about something, that tends to appear in the dream. So I felt like that was the reason, but I wasn't complaining. I was so happy. Sort of gave me a positive start.
And this was like right when you started.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
Wow, see, this is what I mean when you have a good dream. So, speaking of your organization, you started an organization. Obviously, it's called Thinkification.
Yes.
You co-founded it with your friend, your partner.
Yes.
And it's about accessible education for people everywhere. First of all, great job. And I'm really interested in knowing what prompted you and like what experience sort of led up to that moment where you're like, I want to do something like this.
It was a very random thought. When you get those news notifications of what's happening around the world, and you still see we're in 2024, right? So well equipped with technology, so advanced in every field, and yet something basic like education is still deprived in many parts of the world. And when I was just scrolling through the news, I realized that this is severe. We've still not been able to make it accessible to each and every person. So I texted my friend, who happens to be my ex classmate, and I said that I just sent her a snippet of the article I was reading. Like, we should do something about it. What do you think? Maybe we can co found an organization. It can be student led. We can start with just raising awareness about it. Maybe if we get any projects in the future, sure, because we live in a city where the rules and regulations are pretty strict. So until and unless you're not of the legal age, you cannot carry out large scale projects. So we were like, we can start from slow, we can raise awareness, whatever we can do from our end, and then probably we can take it a step higher. And then she read the message and she said, okay, let's have a meeting in the evening and let's talk further about it. And she also said that this was the same thought that was going on in my mind for a few days, because she happens to be one of my team members in World Scholars Cup. And we had come back from our trip to the US. And within the next 2-3 weeks after exams got over, this was in November, we started talking about this. So we sort of had that rapport with each other, which, that comfort level to talk about this and just, talk about co-founding an organization. And we said that let's do this. That day, we stayed up till 2 on a Zoom call trying to set the base of it. We tried to research about 2 hours took to find out the name, what would be the best fit. And we thought like Thinkification. It was think as something earlier, but then we thought fication, it's like, something related to it can, fit well. It's a good there's a good catch to it. And it was not used by anyone. So let's use that. And we sort of created our introductory posts on what we want to talk about, what are we focusing on. So I was handling all the graphics and she was handling most of the content part. And then within a few days, we had a meeting again till 2 a.m. and we opened an Instagram page and we released our introductory posts. It started off slow because, of course, it cannot rise so quickly, like at an instant, everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
We started with our school friends, with our parents, with our family. They followed us on Instagram. They spread a word to people. There were many people from our school who wished to be a part of it. So that became our core team. So that was sort of the moment where we felt like we're doing something good. That sense of satisfaction that you get when you know that you're doing something good, you're giving back to the community. That is something good. And also I realized over time that we were just lucky to be born in an environment where we have access to all the resources. Just pure luck. There are some people, it was in their destiny, like they were born with everything, access to all resources. Some people were not. So you should not put yourself in a position of privilege or power that I have access to this, you don't have access to it. That imbalance that
Yeah.
is there. So we as the youth people have a lot of expectations from us as well. There's so many student-led organizations that focus on different aspects. It's okay to add one more to it.
Yeah.
There are so many student-led organizations that focus on accessible education, but still it's okay to add more to it. It's okay to sort of, even if it's not a new original idea,
Keep the conversation
keep the
going.
conversation going, and you are making, in a way, making an impact. And now if we see our standing, we released a post, like we had this series where we were focusing on every country that does not have access to education. We focused on every country, and we actually got comments from people belonging to that country saying thank you for speaking out. Not many speak out about this, that with that freedom, that openly. Thank you so much for raising your voice on this. And to hear that from a person who lives in that country, who's going through this, that gives you a sense of accomplishment, that one post of yours led to something. Let A post in Dubai goes to somewhere, to a different part of the world, reaches out to that person sees it, can relate to it. So that is sort of uh, that's like a sense of accomplishment that you get.
So what is it that you're doing to sort of tailor your needs towards the part of whatever place you're focusing at with low quality education? What is it? What are you doing on your end to tailor your approach to their needs?
So the maximum thing that we've been focusing on is collaborations with either organizations based in that country or organizations that are large scale, that have those resources to be able to carry out, like large scale events. So we started off with a local organization. It's called Thrift for Good. That was our first project. So we made a contribution of books and clothes, and we went around asking people, whatever books you have, don't throw them, give it to us. And all the revenue that is generated from that goes to people in different parts of the, countries that were hit by natural calamities, and people whose education was affected. That revenue goes in funding for their education, for their basic survival. And then we actually got a notification from them saying that it's a success, and all the revenue generated is going to them. And then slowly we carried out organizations when earthquake was hit in certain countries, so to help them. And then also we have upcoming collaborations with different other student-led organizations, so that we can spread positivity and sort of give them a sense of belonging, that we are there for them. So yeah.
Wow. First of all, clapping for you. That is amazing. That's really, really good and shows how much power we have to do what we want. That's great.
Because we have the resources, we have
Yeah.
the voice.
Yeah.
Why not make good use of it?
For sure. That's what you should be doing. Take that as a lesson to everyone watching. If you're young and you want to do something, you do it. You have the power to do it. All right. So that was you know what? Actually, I have another question. Thank God I remembered it. I got a very weird confession last time. I filmed an episode, and I want to make this an ongoing thing. What's a weird confession that you have? What is something about you that not many people know? That's like just genuinely like a weird thing that you did or do, something like that.
You really just put me on the spot with that question. Think
That's kind of
about
what I
this.
do. Okay, well, she thinks a lot, and okay. Just don't hold back. It's fine. If you have something in mind, just like say it. We do a
But
lot of weird.
I'm thinking, what is weird? Like amongst all the things that I do,
Yeah.
what is something that would be classified as weird?
Well, honestly, something like, okay, I want to tell you something weird I did. Okay, I think I said. Okay, basically what happened, I was in like KG, grade 1 or 2 maybe. I had this friend who used to live right across the street from me, and we used to go to school together. And then what happened was like we were like this until, you know, like kindergarten friends and stuff like that. So every time school used to finish for us at like 12 p.m., you know, half day and stuff like that, I used to go into the bus, and she used to always greet me, like, you know, those 3 steps, and she used to stand at the top.
Yeah.
So she used to always greet me. And there were like 2 days where I saw her chewing something. And I was like, what are you eating? Like, what? She's like, nothing. And then, oh my God. And then, oh God. Oh. And then one time I asked her, what are you eating? What's in your mouth? She opened her mouth. And I'm not going to say what it was. So what I did one time, it was kept on, you know, the bus driver's seat next to that. He has a small table like thing. He keeps his register and stuff like that. There was a box of that thing on his table. I picked it up and I put it in my mouth and I chewed it and I swallowed it, and that thing was tissue.
Oh my God. That's weird.
I also did one more thing, but I let my intrusive thought win here, but I'm not going to share what it was because yeah, so do with that what you will. Now take it from there.
Okay. I think that sort of gave me a clue of what I should say. Okay. Give me a second.
I'm just going to look down in shame. Look, I wanted to share this story a lot. I think it could do wonders. So if you have done something weird and you think like, you know, hey, I'm alone, remember you're not alone. I don't want to hear any criticism. I was a kid. And yeah.
Okay. The weirdest thing I did as a kid, when I have this thing that whenever I used to come back from school, I used to take a shower. It's a nice warm shower. And as a kid, I had this thing that, you know, those, I used to get plastic cups inside the washroom. Okay. Hear me out.
Okay.
I used to take water, I used to take soap, mix it well, and get like foam from that.
Bubbles and all.
Yes. And then make a potion and sort of advertise it as this magic potion.
Oh.
And then there used to be, you know, the wipers that you used to clean I used to take that as a fairy wand and, you know, sort of have this whole evil versus good moment with that magic potion. And
did your mom ever wonder why you took so much time?
she used to knock on the door every time, and she used to understand from that plastic cups that were kept there with foam all around. But I used to try my best to clean it up and make it look like there's nothing. I was just having my peaceful bath. But yeah, that was one of the weirdest things I did, and that went on for a very long time. My mom had to knock on the door every time.
She used to just like
bang on the door, like, what are you doing? Get out, you need to have lunch.
Wow. So that is our weird confession. And now let's move on to the final part of our game. I mean, what? Oh, wow. I was so caught up in everything. Let's move on to the final part of our episode, which is the game I came up with. And it's called Not Me.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you questions. You don't have to answer as yourself.
Okay.
You can be whoever you want, and I'm also testing your storytelling skills over here. So just
give me an example.
Okay, first question. What's your name?
So I have to give a wrong answer. Like,
Just don't be yourself, but you can pretend to be literally anybody you want. You can say, my name's Angelina Jolie or something like that.
my name is Mahi.
Oh my god! Wow, I feel so good. Okay. Huh. Who's a person you'd like to spend your day with? Girl, change the answer. Change the answer. Who's a person you'd like to spend your day with?
Angelina Jolie.
Okay. Now, third question, you really need to think about it. Are you actually a student or are you just pretending to be one, but you're actually an undercover spy?
I'm actually in the mafia.
Am I in danger? Oh my god. Okay. I'll be on my best behavior. What's your actual job?
My actual job, an influencer.
Oh my god. Sponsor me, please.
For sure.
Okay, my final question. Do you have a pet?
Yes. A panther.
Is it the Black Panther?
Yes.
So that brings us to the end of our episode. So before we end things, is there anything? I call this words of wisdom, but I call it wow. I gave it an abbreviation. Please
You know
get
what
to
else
know.
is wow?
What?
Week of welcome.
Girl, don't start with that, please. I have it. Don't start with that. Oh, God. It just reminded me of something I don't want to think about. Okay. So, what is your wow? Any wow you could say? Just look into the camera and say whatever you want.
I think it would be to give yourself the exposure. Sometimes it is important, and especially since this podcast is about people similar to late teens and sort of entering into your 18s and whatever, it is important to give yourself that exposure and not underestimate yourself. That is very important because nowadays the influence around teenagers is not, it cannot be healthy always. So don't underestimate yourself, give your best. And as Mahi had mentioned earlier, if you feel you want to give back to the society, if you want to, start an organization, don't hesitate. You're actually doing a very noble job, noble cause. So stay positive, stay confident, and stay happy.
Oh, that was so sweet. And now that officially brings us to the end of our episode. I had a great conversation with you, Sachi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here.
And thank you, all of you, for watching it. You made it this far. Give yourself a round of applause. It is a long episode. And I will see all of you in our next episode. If you want to be in our podcast, you know what to do. Just look at the details. And thank you for watching. And like and share and subscribe. And, be cool. Be a good person. I will see all of you in our next episode. Bye bye.